If you could go back in history and buy a card you passed on buying, what would that be?
Well, I passed on a 51 Mantle PSA 3, and I very rarely like seek out PC cards, because most PC cards are just I buy a collection and there's a card in there. I'm like, oh man, that's a cool card. I'm going to keep it for my PC. So I very rarely like go saying I want to buy this card for my collection. But there was one exception. I was looking at a 51 Mantle. It was a PSA 3 or 4, and this was probably 4 years ago, and it was like three grand, and yeah, should have bought that.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, it's like every time I saw a 52 Topps Mickey Mantle over the past 20 years, and just didn't buy it, you know?
Yeah. Because I still don't have a 51 man. I don't actually have a 51 or a 52 Mantle on my PC. That's a missing hole in there.
You have a hole. You definitely have a hole. I still have I have my 51 Bowman, but I've never owned a 52 Topps, and I'd love to, but it's gotten to the point where, you know, for a low grade PSA 1 or 2, you're coming up, you're over $50,000, it feels like, for a nice copy of, though. I don't want one that's been crumpled up and then laid flat and slabbed. I'd like it to look presentable, and you're at least $50,000 now for one of those. So
those really jumped recently.
Inglorious P says, Chris, are there any sports or non-sports that you are speculating on? Any TCGs, any trading card games?
No, TCGs. No, I don't know. I don't know anything about TCGs. When I get them in a collection, I just sell them immediately. Non-sports. I mean, I have, if there's like a really old sort of iconic person, and it's in decent grade, I'll hold on. Like I have a Walt Disney card from the 30s. That's like a PSA 6, and that's like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna sit this in my long-term hold box and see what it's worth in a few years, because I think it has a chance to, but not targeting anything specifically. But I have like an early Mark Twain card from like 1895, something like that. I like stuff like that. I find that stuff interesting. So, and I think it has, it's probably more that I like it than I think it has upside, but I'm gonna convince myself it has upside so I can hold on to it for a little bit.
And you know what? I have a collection of these historical figures myself. People like Charlie Chaplin, Walt Disney.
I like this stuff a lot, and they're really rare.
They're rare. Albert Einstein. I mean, all these guys, all these people. The Queen has the 52 Topps Look and See. Queen Elizabeth, who just passed away. I love that stuff. To me, cards are more than just, sports card collecting. They are a way to kind of own history in a way, and it motivates you to learn about the subjects of these cards as well. If you're interested, if you're just owning cards so you can tell people you own them, that's one thing. All the power to you. But it's also a nice thing when you own a card to read about the subject, read about that player, read about that historical figure, that musician, that actor, whatever it is. Maybe listen to their music, watch some of their movies, or read up on them and what their discoveries, if they were explorers, whatever. I mean, there's cardboard for all these historical figures. I love that little section of my personal collection.
Yeah, no, and on the regular rollers, usually, maybe not every time, but usually once an episode or so, there's some obscure athlete from, like, not always an athlete, but some obscure athlete or historical figure from the 60s, and it's a card I've never seen before, and somebody picked it up for like $2, and you're like, wow, that person was significant. Yeah. And it's cool to see. Yeah,
for sure.